Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Monday Night Must See TV with the Hudson Valley Squares. It is classic U.S. American 80s metal battle royal night. Once again, we've got five spectacular albums going head to head tonight. But let me introduce the crew before we start doing anything. Rob Lasante is in the house. Tony Dio's here. Nick Franco's back after a
What's up?
short hiatus. Count Ralphus Ralph Tambor is here. And of course, Mr. Ryan Scow is in the house. Good evening, gentlemen.
Greetings.
Yo, what's up?
Greetings.
Who else thought this was a tough thing to do here? This was a really difficult exercise. Ryan's like, no, no.
They immediately had him in my head and it hasn't changed one bit since. So
Really? Okay. I've
yeah,
gone back and forth numerous
it
times.
fell into place like magically. Like easy,
Right.
easy peasy.
But five really good albums, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I can make a case for any of these being a winner here, but we will find a winner tonight. So, but there's really no losers, right? Because it's all in fun. So the albums are Sanctuary, Refuge Denied, Riot, Thundersteel. These are all from the 80s, by the way. We've got Cirith Ungol, King of the Dead, that amazing album cover. We've got Kansas's own Manilla Road, Open the Gates.
Another killer cover.
Yes, yeah, a lot of great artwork here. And we got Helstar, Burning Star. So we got a couple debuts here, right? We got one debut. We've got Sanctuary as a debut. What Open the Gates was what, the fourth album, fifth album, Ryan?
Fourth or fifth, depends
Fourth or
on how
fifth?
you go.
Ungol's
debut,
right?
King of the Dead is the second,
No,
and
Refuge
second album.
Denied is debut.
Manila World is the fourth album.
fourth album, and Thundersteel, I believe, was the fifth album, sixth album, something.
Yeah.
Sixth album.
Six.
Yeah, and the years on these, just so we get all this straight. So we got Cirith Ungol, King of the Dead, 1984, Helstar Burning Star, 1984. We've got Riot Thundersteel, 88, Sanctuary Refuge Denied, 88, and Manilla Road, Open the Gates, 1985. So all these came out within a couple year period. Uh, all these bands have other records. Really could have chosen any of them, but I kind of went with some of the, the higher rated ones out of this time period. So we're gonna pick a winner, like I said. If you get a number one vote, you get 5 points. If you come in number two or second place, you get four. Third place, three. Fourth place, two, and a fifth place vote gives you 1 point. So that's how we're going to work it. I'm going to tally it up at the end, and we'll pick a winner. So, Rob, we're going to start with you. Let's hear your number five and number four.
Okay. Number five is going to be. Hold on a second. Let me do a little show here so we know. Okay. Manila Road. You know, Ryan is the one that got me into this band originally when he talked about it on a show a while back, like a year ago or so. Um, you know, opening, I'm going to just say this. The band itself, this album is a great album. I like everything on here. I've listened to it again today for like the 10th time. I mean, the Metal Storm, that song is killer. I mean, Weavers in the Web, the Ninth Wave, killer solo on that. Heavy Metal to the World. That's Motorhead feel to that one. And there's a lot of great guitar work on here. Album is incredible. I just can't grasp the vocals.
Here we go. I knew it.
I'm sorry, but the vocals, I don't know. It's grating. That's the only it's the word I got from.
I
Now,
mean, that's the sticking point with this band. Mark Shelton's vocals and the lo-fi production on almost every single album, right? That's usually what people kind of maybe don't mesh with too well.
Well,
But
actually, most of these albums, the productions aren't great on any of them, but that's okay. That doesn't bother me as much as because I'm a vocal guy. I love vocalists. But I would still give this album a 3.5. If you gave me out of 5 stars, I'd give it at least a 3.5. And for me, that's good because again, this is a great album. I just don't know, the vocals is what kills it for me. I mean, but everything else is great. The guitar work is great. The soloing on it is great. The drummer at that time, what was his name?
Robert
Randy?
Garvin, yeah, he's great.
Unbelievable.
No, it was Priscilla Cirith Ungol. I think it was Randy Fox.
Oh yeah, sorry, wrong band. Sorry.
Yeah, Randy. So that's that's my number 5 for tonight. Next band. Now this band also, which is Helstar, the Burning Star. Another band that I really didn't really get into until later in like much later, until like recently, like in the 2000s. I haven't even heard about them for some reason. They never crossed my radar. And this is the one that Pete was just saying that I should check out King of Hell. Great opener on this. Burning Star is a great opener. And the next song definitely, it's got definitely has a, this album has a cross of like a little bit of Maiden. You can feel like the second song has that galloping going on there. The other song, I'll Run with the Pack, that was a great song. I like that song. And the other one I really liked was, what was it? The Shadows of Iga. Is that how you say it? Iga or Iga? Yeah, that's a great song. I mean, the whole album is pretty good. I'm not the guitars are okay on this album. I just didn't think it was actually, like I said, it's okay. I'm not a big fan of this band. And I just recently got into them in the last, like I said, I don't know, 10 years or something. Just listen to them occasionally. I haven't really, except for this assignment. And again, the vocals on Burning Star is okay. I'm not crazy about the vocals on this one. So, that's my rating for that. I would give this probably about 3.5 too. I would give it about 3.5 for myself. So those are my first two.
All righty. Tony, what do you got for your bottom two?
Okay, so I actually do not have a physical copy of the Manilla Road. Never really got into Manilla Road much. Over the last few years, people have talked about them so much, I've researched them a little bit more, and I did find that Open the Gates and Crystal Logic are like my favorite out of what I've listened to. I think what threw me off was the first thing I ever got by them was a 1988 release called Out of the Abyss. And I don't know what Ryan's take on that album is, but it just wasn't a very good thrash album. It was almost like they were trying to be a thrash band or something at that time period. And just kind of turned me off. So I didn't go back for years and check them out. But after listening to this one during this week, I've really started to really like it. And I'm going to definitely pick it up eventually. But thought it had some great tracks on it. I love the opening track, The Metal Storm. And the Weavers of the Web has got a really cool riff in that. And as does the Hour of the Dragon. So I thought that was he's got some really good songs on it. And the vocals, I see what some people would say about the vocals and the lo-fi production on it, but it's still good stuff. I mean, the vocals are definitely unique. It's much like Cirith Ungol have very unique vocals. They don't sound like anybody else. But from there, this is when it really got to me trying to figure out how to put these in order, because I love all the next four of these records and have for a while. The Burning Star is what I'm going to go with from Helstar. I like the fact that this is a more straight ahead hard rock metal album for the band. I mean, it's their debut. They kind of went off later on and got a little more proggy, a little more, they had more more complexity in a lot of the songs later on. Because the first thing I ever really got by them was A Distant Thunder, and I think that was maybe 1988. And James is an excellent singer, and he's kind of pulled back on this record. He's not really showing all his vocal prowess that he's known for. I mean, this dude's ended up singing for how many other bands? He was in Flotsam and Jetsam and Malice and a whole bunch of different groups over the years. Super cool guy too. I met him a few times, and but yeah, I remember hearing the song "Run with the Pack" on the local college radio station's metal show back in the day, and I always just loved that song. Yeah, my favorites on this would definitely be "Toward the Unknown" for sure, and "Dracula's Castle," and that's a really cool track. That's when I guess that started James's whole fixation with the vampire theory, because he does a lot of vampire type stuff. I mean, they had the album was it Nosferatu?
Nosferatu was great. Yeah,
1989. Yeah, and I remember seeing him at Hell's Heroes a few years ago, and he's walking around with fangs the whole time. You probably Ryan, you were there. You remember seeing him walk around. He's
Yeah, I
just
met him a couple times
he
doing that.
keeps yeah, and he came out. They brought him out in a coffin on stage, and when they played, and if I remember right, they played this whole album at one point. Like they
I
played
believe
twice
one of the because they played a couple times, and I think one of them
and they
did play
played
that
this
all out.
whole album, if I remember right. But yeah, really cool band. It's funny little side note. So this is the original cover art here, and then they when they reissued it a few years later, they gave it a more updated look here. I always loved this cover. I just thought it was cool. And James goes by Bill. His name on here is Bill Lionel. And I asked him one time why he went by Bill Lionel on this record, not James Riviera, and he said he just thought his name was too ethnic sounding. He wanted it something that sounded more metal, but I don't think Bill Lionel sounds much like a metal name. But it's funny he auditioned. I mean he autographed my CD in here. He signed it James Riviera, and he put in parentheses Billy. So I thought that was kind of cool. But yes. But great singer, great band, but that's going to be my first two.
All right, cool. All right, Mr. Scow, we'll move over to you.
Yes, I thought this one was pretty easy. So as soon as you mentioned it, these five kind of fell into place for me. So the first two, or my fifth and fourth one, I kind of went under the idea of like, there's a lot of good thrash bands out there, but there's only one Slayer. But there are a lot of other good bands, so I kind of felt the same way. Like, so my fourth and fifth, they're great albums, but they're just not among my like favorite '80s albums of all time. But they're great albums. So number five, I actually don't have a copy of this. Is the Helstar. The only album that I really go back to them on a regular basis is Nosferatu, which is a great album. I really like that one. Like Tony said, they did play this whole album at Hell's Heroes. I don't remember what year it was, and it was cool live. It was cool to see the whole thing live. And they ended up playing a couple times. So I've seen the band like four times now. I think there was one Hell's Heroes where some bands dropped off, so they played two sets in the same weekend. So I've seen them quite a few times, and they kick-ass live performance. James really sells it live. He's a powerful live vocalist. But I'll just be honest, it's just not one of my favorite '80s metal albums. It's good. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I do like Nosferatu more, but yeah, it's just not one I go to on a regular basis. And the same is true of number four, also a better album, very, very good album, but it's just not one of my all-time favorites. And that was Sanctuary. I think Worrell's vocals on it are great. He really sounds good. There's a lot of energy. The choruses on it are really, really good. Because of my age, I got into Nevermore first back in the '90s, and then I backtracked to Sanctuary many, many years later. But I remember hearing the second or the third Nevermore album in the mid '90s, and I'm like, this is fucking great. Different vocal approach, different sound, different style of music, but you could definitely tell the guy had a unique vocal approach, which I always liked. I always liked more of something that had a lot of personality. I don't need to hear somebody just freaking nailing these high, piercing falsettos, but you all sound alike. And Morrow's vocals are very, very distinct. As soon as you hear him sing, like you immediately know it's him. So that's something I always liked about the album. But admittedly, I'm not going to put either one on like a top list of all time favorites. But they're both great albums. They both really are. You are right, and they were good picks for this. So those are my number five and number four.
All righty, Ralph, move over to you.
All right, so yeah, even though we had this assignment for a while, I only listened to each album one time for this. I didn't like listen to it all month. I had other assignments that I was doing throughout the month, but so I know some of these that I haven't listened to much probably grow on me more and more if I listen to them more. But I just want to say that that's why I'm picking them the way I am. So yeah, 1985, I was just getting into thrash and stuff, and Manilla Road, just that name to me, they sound like a southern rock band. I would see their ads for album stuff. I didn't know one person that listened to them. Never heard anybody talking about them. Yeah, they were back then and didn't really know. And I know that they have some stuff that's more like hard rock kind of stuff, but I like the guy's voice. I thought his voice is good. The only thing I didn't like is when he tried to be like melodic. I thought that's when it kind of got a little weird, like some of the choruses here and there. But overall, I think it was a great album. I like that Metal Strom song. Weavers of the Web, I thought was great heavy metal to the world, fast, upbeat. It kind of reminded me not of Motorhead, but like Heavy Anvil back in the day when they would do the double bass and stuff. And the one song though, Astronomica, that song ripped off Wrathchild so much. Like I just like as I started listening to it, I was like, oh, they're doing Iron Maiden cover. And then I was like, oh, that's fucking not the totally different lyrics. So I mean it's almost like an exact kind of riff to it. And you can kind of hear a Maiden vibe throughout it. You know, they definitely seem like they were influenced by Maiden at that time. But yeah, I think if I would have got it in 1985, I think I would have really loved it. And I did like it. I just it's not something that I ever bought though, and that name really killed. But I think it's the second best album cover out of all these album covers. Harder throughout from here. I kept going back with my 3 and 4, but I'm gonna go with Riot Thundersteel, 1988. I was listening to the Autopsy and Death and stuff like that. I was like so full blown into death metal that anything like even though these albums, I mean, these songs sound like speed metal and sort of thrashing at times, you know, not really thrash, more like a speed metal, power metal. But I think the title track rips, you know, Fight or Fall, I thought was another great one. On the Wings of Eagles was another great one. Um, I thought it was weird that they, well, that now he's got a Halford and Tate range the whole time. I think that guy Tony Moore is a great singer. Real slick, like kind of production. Actually, I would. It's not one of my favorite productions out of these 4, so I shouldn't talk about the production on this. But yeah, that's going to be my 5 and 4. Riot is another band that, like, when I was younger and I got a few of them, I liked it, but I quickly got into heavier music and I kind of just forgot about them. I know they're a beloved band by a lot of people, but I think this album was really good. But it's got to be my number 4.
All right, Nick.
All right. So I had the least amount of familiarity with Helstar before this. I mean, obviously I've heard of them and I've heard them, but when I dove into this one with Burning Star, I'm gonna have that as my number 5 because I just there's a little bit with the vocals that I just kind of like I can't get past. The music is good. It's obviously, I mean, you know, listening to all of these albums, like this was the best fucking time. Like I wish I was a little bit older because man, just what a cool time. Like, you know, like the 90s offered some, you know, really great branches of heavy metal and obviously stuff that I love very much, but there was just something about that 80s time that was just great. However, the Hellstar, I think what holds it back for me is like when he goes like super high on the register. Just I don't know. Like to me, I like if your voice is high anyway and you just keep it up there like and sound weird. Like I like that. But the way they go up and down, it just kind of grates on me a little bit. So I had to put Hellstar at number 5. And number 4, you know, Ryan, you've sang this band's praises forever. And Cirith Ungol. I'm gonna put them as number 4. King of the Dead. You know, Tim Baker's vocals just kind of are not my favorite. And I've tried and tried and tried. The music is fucking like tops, dude. It's like it's really good music. It's very doomy. The album cover just speaks to me directly. You know,
Michael Whalen.
what's
Great.
that? Yeah,
artist.
yeah. I mean,
Michael Whalen.
that's my shit, you know. So I always had my eye on it, like growing up. Like I was like, oh, but it's just something with his voice. But it's very good stuff. And I'll probably keep trying to listen to it as the years go by because you know with vocalists as we'll hear a little bit later I sometimes break through. It takes a while. I'm very picky with vocalists. So but I put the Cirith Ungol above Hellstar because he is a better vocalist than the guy from Hellstar to me, but it's still just a little weird. But goddamn, the Cirith Ungol is a very good album. I really tried diving into it hard. um I'm sorry, I'm just looking at a few notes here. You know, the King of the Dead, the title track, is really good. Atom Smasher, and what was the one I really Finger of Scorn. You know, it's really good shit. It's just I'm not too jiving with the vocals. What's that?
I was saying a lot of these vocalists are love and hate. You know, it's not,
Yeah,
it just is what it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
But it's quality shit. I mean, these bands are awesome. So, but those are my 5 and 4.
All
It's
right.
like King Diamond. You like him or you don't, you know.
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, my number. So I feel really bad about putting any of these albums at number five, but I just want to preface it by saying even my number five, my number four, I really like these albums a lot. But you got to put them somewhere, right? So I'm gonna go with "Open the Gates" by Manilla Road at number five. It's not one of my absolute favorites from them. I have a couple others in this catalog that I like a little more, but this is a really good album. I don't mind Mark's vocals at all. I think Brian and I talked about we did a ranking on Manilla Road like years
I
ago.
love him. I really do. I love his vocals.
I've gotten very used to his voice. I remember in the beginning I was kind of like, well, that's a little different, but I like different because we, like I said, we have a couple of guys in this list that are definitely different, and I like all of them. I know some people it's a love or hate thing, but I don't mind his vocals at all. I think it perfectly meshes with the music. I don't even mind the lo-fi production because it's at least it's consistent throughout almost the entire catalog. I mean, every album kind of sounds like this. It's just their signature, right? But there's some great songs on here. Metal Storm is amazing. I love the title track. Astronautica got some killer solos from Mark Shelton. He's a really, really good guitar player. Really good. He's a great riff guy. I love the Ninth Wave. That's just big, epic metal. Heavy Metal to the World is excellent. The Fires of Mars is great. Hour of the Dragon is great. I mean, it's one of their classic albums. To me, maybe I just like a couple of these others just a tiny bit more, but this to me is still like a four-star album. I mean, it's just
You know,
really,
it's
really
funny,
good.
Pete, because Tony mentioned something earlier that I didn't think about it, but now listening to the album today again, it's got a little bit of everything. He said thrash, metal, even a little proggy on
Oh yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little bit. So that's probably why I like the music more so than the vocals. I think
Yeah.
the music is great, no doubt about it.
I think like there are they don't sound anything alike, but I think Manilla Road and Cirith Ungol, I think, have some qualities to their music that make them both very unique. They
Mm.
both have kind of polarizing singers. They both have a really unique production style, and both bands do this weird mix of a couple different styles, even though it's different from each other, that I think kind of put them in kind of like the same place. I mean, I think a lot of people like talked about both of these bands when I was, younger, growing up, and these bands were popping up. Everybody was always like, "Oh yeah, that band Manilla Road. Oh yeah, Cirith Ungol. They're, I'm not sure if I kind of like them, right? They're kind of different, but I think that's what makes them so good, right? All
I
these,
think it's worth noting too that both of these bands they started way back in the 70s.
yes,
Like they
they've been around
predate
for a long, yeah,
Maiden, they predate
Absolutely.
all of these bands. Like
yeah,
they're if you
Yeah.
listen to like the earliest stuff by both, it's almost not even metal. It's almost like 70s heavy rock, prog rock. Like
yeah.
Hmm.
I forget the name of the first Manila Road album. I don't like the 70s stuff by them as much, but it's almost like 70s rock. It's
Yeah.
they didn't really get like metal until Crystal Logic. So like they're
Like
and
it's like
then
the
that's
early
probably why they're
Riot
so
stuff
unique.
too. The early Riot albums are very similar too. That's
Yeah,
just
the old
hard
Riot, yeah.
rock,
Yeah.
They're
Pretty
they're
rock and
they're
roll.
such old bands, they predate like most metal stuff, so
Oh yeah,
it gives them
yeah,
unique
for sure.
flavor.
So we're gonna go with Open the Gates in number five. My number four, I'm gonna go with Burning Star by Helstar. I've really, really been getting into this band of late. I like this album a lot. It's not one of my favorites by them. I know a lot of people like always talk about their early albums. I think this is a band that got better as they went along because they've got some killer albums into the 90s and the 2000s and whatnot. But I'm going to go with this one, their debut album. I really like James's vocals. I think he's a really good singer. Again, he's gotten better over the years. I agree with Rob. I think he's a little kind of, or maybe Tony said it, he's a little more subdued on this album than he is on later records. I think he's really coming to his own. The twin guitars are great. Someone mentioned I get a little new wave of British heavy metal Iron Maiden thing going on at times. There's some galloping stuff. There's some twin guitars happening here and there. I love like Witch's Eye is great. Towards the Unknown is really good. I love the title track. Possession is really good, and I absolutely love Dracula's Castle. Really, really good album. They've done better, I think, but it's still excellent. It's my number four, and I'll turn it back over to Rob.
All right. We're going to what, three?
Three and two. Yep.
3 and 2. All right. Well, the first these last three are hard. They're really hard. I have to go with Cirith Ungol. Um, I really like this band a lot. I do. I do like them because, like you just said, Pete, they're unique. They're really unique. And I got into them a lot later than most people did. It's the same thing. Like even with the next one, the next couple. I got into these bands later. not during the 80s because I was so much into the other kind of bands like Maiden and Priest and Motorhead and all the popular bands that we all pretty much knew. I wasn't the kind of guy that went in there and dug deep all the time. So most of the time it was the bands that I knew. But this cover obviously is awesome. It's probably one of my favorite covers I've ever seen. It's just
Yep.
such a badass cover, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
So listen to the words today. Now, welcome to the brave new world. That's how they start this off, on this album, and it just tells you what like this is what it's about, the album just kicking ass. Everything on this album is great. The guitar work is excellent. Tim Baker's vocals, for some reason, I can take him easier than I do with James Rivera, and the guy from Manilla Road. I mean, I don't think he's a great vocalist, but he's not terrible. You know what I'm saying? I like King of the Dead. That's one of my favorite jams. I like what is this one called?
Finger of Scorn.
I can't read. My eyes are going, man. Finger Scorn. I like the beginning though. It reminds me of Metallica a little bit. There's like that intro. If you listen to it, it kind of reminds me of Metallica. And then the Toccata and DM.
Oh, that's great.
That is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
It's really a killer. And then the title, Cirith Ungol, the song, great song too. I mean, the album is great. Definitely, no doubt about it. It's a great album. A lot of good guitar work on here, and it's unique. And so, if you're looking for something unique, definitely go for that.
I remember when I was a kid in '84, because I bought this pretty much right after it came out. I remember too, I was kind of like, ooh, man, that singer, he's different. But I grew to love him like really quickly. I knew some guys who absolutely could not listen to this band because they couldn't deal with his vocal style. What's amazing is that all these years later, I mean, we've got singers who have done stuff way more out there than Tim Baker, right? So I think we're spoiled. But back then, this was pretty extreme back in the day to hear a guy singing like that. There was nobody else sounding like him back then. Nobody.
That's true. So number two is going to be this is so difficult because I fought with this all day. This
Yeah,
was
you warned me the other day you were having problems with your 1 and 2, right?
I'm gonna have to go with Sanctuary for number
Wow.
two.
All right, there we go.
I actually had him at number one,
I figured that's
but
what you were gonna have.
I gotta tell you guys, I don't want to get ahead of the game. That Ride album is is killer. I can't stop listening to it. That and Corn has been on my playlist all week this week. So anyway, Sanctuary. The funny thing, I think Ryan mentioned it. I got into Sanctuary a little later too, but it's when I listened to Nevermore, and then I started to look at the back catalog of stuff, and I found out about this band, and I was like, holy shit! I didn't realize that Walt Dane had done this. And then of course, Dave Mustaine produced this album. He does the solo on White Rabbit, and I mean, listen, I love Walden. I've been saying that for the years I've been on this show. He's one of my favorite singers of all time. He's always been, I mean, the Battle Angels, that intro, man, is so killer. I mean, the guitar work, the vocal, everything about it. There's not really a bad song on this album. I mean, I would give this at least a 4.0 to 4.5. Definitely. Uh, I'm looking at all the songs, everything, heavy drums, killer, fast paced. War kills it on almost every song here. Sanctuary has got that Queensryche feel. If you listen to it, it's got the beginning. It's like real melodic and everything, and the build up. Definitely feel that. And the cover, White Rabbit. It's funny. Pete's doing a show in the mornings on covers, and this will probably make my list because I love this cover. I just love it.
Spoiler alert, it just might make mine as well. It's a good one.
I know it is. So, I mean, everything about this, great performances. No, every song, Veil of Disguise. Oh my God, his performance on that one too is killer. So that's my number two, Sanctuary.
I was lucky enough to see them on that tour.
With
Great.
2015.
Again, the album had just come out. I just bought it. And I was so psyched to see them. But I remember like when he resurfaced with Nevermore like years later, I was like, whoa, he's singing kind of different here, because he totally
Yeah,
totally goes at a different approach for all the high pitched stuff on this. But
more aggressive. Yep.
Yeah, he was something special, right? He had a lot of things up his sleeve that is much missed.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, what's your next two?
All right. Next up for me is going to be Cirith Ungol King of the Dead. And I first heard these guys. I got the Metal Massacre, the first Metal Massacre on cassette. I think it was one of the later pressings that the some of the songs were different on it. I think the Black and Blue track or something was the lead off track instead of the Steeler track. But anyhow, that's the first time I heard them. They were doing Death of the Sun on there, and I thought, man, this guy's got such a wicked voice. And you got to think at that time I'd never heard King Diamond or anything. This is just nobody sounded like Tim Baker. He's just got such a very just distinctive style of vocal, and but I think that works so well with their just dark music. I mean they've got elements of it's traditional metal with some prog and doom elements all in it. And this was the first one I ever got by them, and it's probably the only for years. This was the only one I actually even owned. I always liked these guys, but I never really went further into their catalog until about 20 years ago. I started picking up stuff from them. And but yeah, this is a really good record. I mean, the music fits so well with the Michael Whelan cover art, that you're seeing here. It's just amazing. But yeah, my favorite tracks on this definitely is the kickoff, Atom Smasher. I mean, Black Machine is one of their best songs ever. Just love that one. Of course, I mentioned Death of the Sun. Love that. I mean, there's some great tracks on this, and it's great to see these guys after all these years. They're finally getting the notoriety. I mean, they're probably more popular now than they ever were back in the day. I don't ever remember hearing anybody talk about Cirith Ungol much at all. Now they're playing all these different festivals. They're a band I thought I'd never see, and I saw them at Hell's Heroes. I saw them at Maryland Doomfest a couple years ago, and they're just a great band. Of course, Jarvis Leatherby from the band Night Demon is kind of came in and kind of kicked them into gear because they were kind of his hometown heroes. So it's good to see them back, and they've been putting just really quality material out since they've gotten back together. Their last few albums are really, really good.
Dark Parade was on my top 10, I think. Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
good.
just great stuff. Okay, next up for me is going to be Sanctuary, Refuge Denied. I remember first time hearing this, a friend called me and he's like, dude, you got to come listen to these records. He'd bought like several new things and he had this because he said, you like King Diamond, you got to hear this band Sanctuary. So we go over and hear it. He's right. Warldane to me sounds like he's got elements of Tim from Cirith Ungol and King Diamond kind of mixed up together. And just I thought it was just a solid record. I mean, it's got some power metal and thrash elements thrown in. Just a really killer band. First time I heard it, I was hooked. I was like, yeah, I'm going out, and I went out and bought the cassette of it right then. And but yeah, I love Battle Angels. I love Die for My Sins. It's great. The songs that their title track for themselves or whatever, Sanctuary. I love the way that song just opens up with a slow part and it just kicks when he kicks some of that vocals. When he's I mean, that's just so killer, man. It just brings chills to you when you first hear it, man. It's great. And unfortunately, I never got to see Sanctuary. I did see Nevermore quite a few times. I think the first time I saw them, they actually did Battle Angels in the set because you had Warldane and Jim Shepard, who was the bass player in this band, was also in Nevermore.
Yep.
But yeah, just a killer band. And I think someone mentioned Dave Mustaine produced it. Here's a little promo record that I picked up. This is a radio promo. It's got Sanctuary along with Fifth Angel, and it was used to promote the Refuge Denied, and Fifth Angel had the Time Will Tell album. So you get 3 tracks from each band, and it's got interviews in between. But I thought that was pretty cool. I found it at a record show, so I picked it up.
That's a good
Yeah, so that's yeah, Fifth Angel,
Yeah,
great band.
I got to see Sanctuary in 2015. They played with Overkill and Symphony X down at Terminal 5. And that was the only time I ever got to see Warl. I never saw Nevermore, which that's one of my, unfortunately, nothing I could do about it. I mean, yeah, the new Nevermore is coming, but it's not going to be the same without World.
No, it's not the same. Yeah, I wish I'd went. They did some tour dates when they got back together and did the new record. I didn't get a chance to see them though.
Great. He's much missed. Totally.
Sure.
All right, Ryan, over to you.
Yeah, this next three are all eternal burning favorites of mine. So for number three, I'm gonna go with this awesome album from a band that has a very weird discography, and it doesn't get talked about as much. I think because they've just been like eternal underdogs, and they're a New York band, but that is Riot, Thundersteel. One of the things about this album that I think is cool is that 2 years later, and now I'm not saying they ripped them off at all, but the sound is similar. It just, I think it was totally unintentional, but it's similar. Judas Priest comes along and does Painkiller, which is basically, to me, this album. Super fast, tons of leads, high falsetto vocals. And as soon as when I hear Painkiller, I'm like, it's very similar to Thundersteel. Of course, we know which one was a lot bigger, and Painkiller is a fucking brilliant album, but the approach is very similar. So I think that was kind of interesting. And this, I've heard people mention that, like, it kind of rips it off. I'm like, this came a couple of years before Painkiller. These guys were doing it first. Again, there's no, I think it was totally coincidence, but what I think is weird is that after this album, they did one called Privilege of Power, which is another great album, but it's got a horn section on it, like a fucking Vegas band, but it's cool. That
Very
one
cool.
really goes under the radar because you're like, oh man,
Wow.
like speed, thrash, heavy metal with like, it works. It's the weirdest
Power
fucking thing.
power horns.
Yeah, when someone told me, I don't want to go off the rails on this, but when someone told me that they're like, the next Riot album is basically this with horns, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I heard it, I'm like, all right, this is pretty good. And the two before this, Restless Breed and Born in America, I don't like at all. I think they're kind of like lazy 80s hard rockish metal. And then you have to go even further back, you get to like the early 80s classic stuff. So in the middle of all these weird albums, they come out with this absolute fucking belter of just a full speed, killer vocals. The leads are great. It's like iconic 80s metal album. And I put it on all the time at the gym because the energy on this album is just fucking relentless. Like if you're running or doing any kind of cardio, this is a really, really good album to put on. Just like Painkiller for that matter.
Ryan, have you listened to any of the more recent Riot albums? Because they're very similar to that.
Yeah, they definitely kind of came back to the sound years later. And they're one of those bands because Reel's, unfortunately deceased.
Yes.
The lineup is like, there is nobody in Riot now from the early days. So they added the number 5 or Riot V, I think, to distinguish that, is my understanding. Which is kind of, how many bands can you say that of? Like Napalm Death? Like there's nobody in the band now that was in the band when the band formed. That's somewhat rare, I
A
think.
lot
I
of
guess it
bands
happens.
like that.
It's a lot of bands turning out like that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, and it's been that way for a couple of years now, but I mean, I think, it wasn't like overnight the whole lineup shifted. It's been kind of like organic
Yeah, it's
over time.
basically there are a couple of guys who were in the band when Mark was in the band before he passed
Right.
away, and basically the family gave the okay for them to continue on. But the singers that they have now is amazing.
Yeah.
He's
That last
really
album was
good.
Great.
Yeah.
The
And
last
they've had, so that's another band where this is one of those bands where you talk about them and you talk about vocals, you really have to pick the era because they've had a lot of cool vocals. In this case, it was, I actually had to look it up.
The
Tony
Mike
Moore.
DeMeo era is great. The
Yeah.
Mike DeMeo era is awesome.
So, and obviously you have the Rhett Forrester era. So there's all these different eras of the band because the first Riot album, I think, is like 77, 76. Like they've been around, well, like Cirith Ungol and Manilla Road, they've been around for fucking ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, right in the middle of the late 80s, they come out with this an absolute fucking full speed belter of an album. Yeah, first time I heard this, it opened up with the title track. I'm like, so the rest of the album could be Britney Spears covers. I don't give a fuck. This is perfect. But obviously the rest of the album kicks ass. Johnny's Back, Fight or Fall, Sign of the Crimson Storm. Very catchy too. Like all these songs, these are songs you wake up in the morning like singing, like, I gotta throw that album on to kind of get the song out of my head. So that's my
It
number
is
3.
pumping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a great cardio album. I'm gonna say that.
Most people,
number
when they
2?
talk about the great Riot albums, they either pick that or they pick Fire Down Under. Those
Yeah, and those and for good reason.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of
I agree.
say go back to Riot for a second. There's a lot of really cool, very under the radar Riot albums that are a little later, like especially from the '90s. Like Privilege of Power is cool.
Yep.
There's another one from the '90s called Inishmore, that
That's a
like no
great
one ever mentions, but you listen to it, it's pretty damn good. So they have a huge catalog, and it's kind of worth diving into. We got some time on a nice rainy day. Number two, uh, one of my favorite albums of all time. Definitely one of the greatest artworks fucking ever. Yeah, Cirith Ungol, King of the Dead, Michael Whalen, who also did the art to Beneath the Remains, Arise, and KSID by Sepultura, Cause of Death by Obituary, and Bat Out of Hell 2 by Meatloaf. And a million fantasy. I mean, that's where he got famous doing like fantasy art for like sci-fi and fantasy novels. That's like his bread and butter. But he did some pretty iconic cover arts too during the
That
day.
was that was actually that artwork was on a book before it was on the album.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
one of
and
my
that was
more
the case with
talks.
several. Like Cause of Death was the same thing. Obituary used it,
Yeah,
but
H.P. Lovecraft book.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
it was on. I
Lovecraft
got an
book.
H.P.
So,
Lovecraft book. Yeah,
but he's, as far as I know, and I've double checked, he's done the art for every Cirith Ungol album because he did the art for the two most recent ones too, Dark Parade and Forever Black. But yeah, this one and the first one, Frost and Fire, are my favorites for
Yeah.
artwork. But musically, like Tony said, this was the first Cirith Ungol album I got. It was the only one I had for a couple of years. I'll be honest with you, when I first heard this band, I liked him, but I wasn't. It took me a little while to kind of like get my head around it. And it wasn't just the vocals; it was just the band in general. I heard him, and I'm like, this is good. I kind of have to figure it out. I sometimes I like that with a band where it's like a bit of a challenge. You're like, what are they doing? This is very different. I believe the band formed in '71, so they might be the oldest of all these bands. Like they've been around a long time, but they were like much like Twisted Sister. They were around for pretty much a decade before they even came out with a debut album. So they had a lot of time to workshop it. And the first album was I think '81, so they had time to work on stuff. But you can definitely tell and listen to this like they were a band born of the '70s. They have a lot of that kind of vestigial '70s elements to it, which works for them too. But then they have all these fantasy lyrics and like a lot of '80s metal tropes too. So very unique sound. Always liked Tim's vocals. Like you guys said too, they broke up after their, let's see, Paradise Lost. I think it was '91, and I think they were thought it was it forever until Jarvis kind of got them back together, and or just helped them get back together. And I've been fortunate to see them. Uh, I, I'm not as good as the mighty Chris Allo at this, but I think I've seen him 12 times since they reunited.
Wow.
And that includes
Nice.
some, I drove up to Rhode Island once to see them. Like I put some miles in to see these guys, and it's always been fucking a stellar performance. I'm grateful for every one of those. I saw them in Hell's Heroes a couple of times. I think I saw them with Tony down there. I know they played a couple of times. I think they're playing the next Hell's Heroes, so I'll see them again at least one more time. Uh, yeah, awesome band. I couldn't really pick a favorite on this, although Master of the Pit, Black Machine, yeah, every song on this is killer. I love this album. It's probably still my favorite Cirith Ungol, if I had to pick, but it's kind of tough because they don't have any bad albums. And like you guys said too, the two reunion albums are, in my opinion, among the best reunion albums in metal. Just it's like they didn't miss a step. They have a new side to them, so they're not just repeating what they did 30, 40 years ago. Just really good heavy metal. But yet, like a lot of these bands, the singer, love him or hate him. So people are like, I can't deal with Tim's vocals. I get it. I get it. I won't hold it against anybody. But to me, I've always liked his style, and this is a great, great album. So that is my number two.
Awesome. All right, Ralph.
yeah. So I have to go Sanctuary. 1988. I was into really heavy stuff, and I just ignored this. And listening to it now, it's like unbelievable how the production's amazing. Worrell sounds like he could do anything by King Diamond and Halford if he wanted to. That Veil of the Skies song at times he reminds me of John Olivia at times. It's like he could do like any of these high vocal guys from back in the day. I love the Third War was great. Soldiers of Steel and of course the Battle Angels, great leadoff track. Then I'll go to my number two is Cirith Ungol. My first album by them I bought in 1986 was One Foot in Hell. And at that time, I was like really deep into Slayer and stuff like that. So like I liked it. It was definitely like heavy enough to like still like it. The album covers always drew me in, but I didn't get this album until later on. And pretty much all their other albums, I kind of like after I got that one in '86, I didn't really go back and like try to get everything. It just like as time went on, you pick them up. But he's such a unique vocalist, like he's all saying, he doesn't, it's him right away. He doesn't sound like anybody. And I always like that about vocalists, even if you don't really like them, when they stand out, so they're so different than everybody. It's hard to be original with there's so many bands out there, but Atom Smasher is a great song. Master of the Pit, Death of the Sun is killer, real heavy. That's probably the heaviest song to me. Yeah, that's my three and two.
Cool. Nick?
Oh, one last thing about the album cover. The album cover, really quick though, is like the guy Michael Moorcock. He created the character Elric, and
Ulrich,
Elric's on the cover of almost all of the later albums. That's the guy with the black sword, and that sword is like the Stormbringer sword that Deep Purple sings about.
Mhm.
Michael Moorcock wrote lyrics and helped write lyrics with Blois the Cult and Hawkwind and like other people. So this is a guy that like he just got connected to so many bands, but one of those bands is Cirith Ungol, just mainly from the artwork. But just wanted to mention that.
The Eternal Champion, Warrior at the Edge of Time. Yeah, yeah,
That's
a lot of connections to cool bands.
And if you have any, even a passing interest in fantasy books, I highly recommend those Elric books by Michael Moorcock.
Oh
They're
hell yeah, that's
very
Yeah.
good stuff.
good. Yeah.
Absolutely, well worth
It's like
mentioning.
it's like Robert E. Howard kind of Conan stuff, but it's just a different, more like magical kind of character,
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. All right, Nick, what do you got for your 3 and 2?
I love that fantasy novel shit. Way to go.
Yep.
Yeah, the top three of this are hard for me because I was the most familiar with Manila Road out of all these, like going back a little bit. Ryan worked on me with Manila Road for a while, and
Relentless.
yeah, but and Mark Shelton, and that's going to be my number three actually, because it's funny. I really dove into this list a lot, but Open the Gates. It took me a while to get into Mark Shelton's voice, but once I did, yeah, it's not like the most inspirational voice out there, but it's fine. And their music is so rich, and songs like Astronomica and Weavers of the Web, um, Heavy Metal to the World, of course. These are just they're just you have like the heavy metal chug, you have like the cool leads. The music is very inspirational. You want to read one of these fantasy books after you listen to a Manila Road album, I think. So that's my number three, Open the Gates. Really cool cover, very busy cover with a lot of cool stuff going on. So yeah. And then my number two. So this was tough because I'm a newer, I admit, I'm not like a traditional Riot or Sanctuary fan. When I was young, I really think if people would have grabbed me and given these albums to me when I was in my formative years, I would have went over the moon for them. So I'm a little later to the game, but yeah, this Riot band, holy shit! Like they're, I've heard of them, I've heard their very popular stuff, but diving in, I got to put Thundersteel at number two. Um, See, I like this guy's voice, Tony Moore.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's up there, like his vocals, it grabs you. And when the title, when the album starts, yeah, Ryan, you're the comparison to Painkiller is very apropos because it grabs you by the balls and just doesn't let go. And I think that Thundersteel keeps that whole fucking vibe through the whole thing. So that's gonna be my number two. I love the title track. I love Flight of the Warrior. That's just sick. This is stuff that I just, this is really like more my personal taste from when I got into metal at first. So I'll do Riot number two.
Cool. All right, my number 3 is going to be Sanctuary, Refuge Denied. One thing we haven't really talked about, and I remember like back in the day when this album first came out, some people were kind of down on Mustaine's production. I think it's awesome. I think this is a great sounding album.
Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds
Yeah, it
totally
really
fine.
does. It really does. I don't know what the problem people had with it back then, but I think
Actually, out of all these albums, I think it's the best sounding one out of all these five.
it's really good. And I mean, this was really early in Megadeth's career that he produced this album, but I think it's really good. I mean, Battle Angels absolutely crushes. That's just such a great opener. So good. I love Termination Force, Die for My Sins. I think the cover of White Rabbit is terrific. I'm usually not a huge fan of metal bands doing covers, but I think this really works. Um, Sanctuary is a great song. It's just good, killer, dark power metal. and Worrell sounds amazing on it. He just sounds really, really good. I mean, what a kind of debut for that guy. You know, it's really, really good. So that's my number three. My number two, I'm gonna go with Thundersteel by Riot. It's not my favorite Riot album. It's up there though. It's definitely this was a brand new lineup for the band. So basically, the band basically broke up. You know, Rhett Forrester decided he wanted to go do something else. He went and joined Jack Starr, and well, most of the other guys went and did something else. And Mark was like, "Well, I'm going to put the band back together." And he got all these new guys: Tony Moore on vocals, and the great Bobby Joe Zombek on drums, who is a powerhouse. Dan Van Stivern on bass. It's half the album is like pedal to the metal, speed metal. There's some thrash here. There's power metal. It's melodic. The guitar work is terrific. Tony's vocals are amazing. Title track rips. Sign of the Crimson Storm is great. Flight of the Warrior, I love. Blood Streets. It's a great album. Really, really great album. I just think there's one album on this one I like a little bit more. So that's my number two. Back to Rob for his number one. Talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah. Spoiler
I'm keeping
alert.
track. I know who's
Spoiler
got one
alert.
coming up.
So, like I said, I had a hard time with the. I like this cover. I don't think it's the greatest, but I just like it. Just looks cool. You know,
It is cool.
I think well, anything that's not Sabaton with a tank, I like.
I have a shirt, a bootleg shirt with that cover on it. It's cool.
Oh, do you? Awesome.
Yeah.
It
I do
looks
as
like
well.
it's such a shitty shirt, but I like it.
Yeah. So exactly what Pete said. I mean, listen. When we got this assignment, like I said, I didn't really. I listened to the new Riot album and I like it a lot. But I never heard this album before. So the first time I played it, I was like, my eyes just popped open. I was like, holy shit. And I was like, every song, like you guys have been saying, Fast and Furious, fast, second song. The third song, a little bit slower. Third song, that double bass, unbelievable. Bobby's playing on this is incredible. What's the song here? I can't read this damn thing. I'm getting old. On the Wings of Eagles. Oh man, that's a great
great.
song. Mark Real solo on that is killer, killer. Donnie's Back is great. The Run for Your Life, very Maiden feel too on that one. So you can feel a lot of Maiden. The ballad is the only one I'm not crazy about. It's okay, but I'm not crazy about. But I mean, this album just rocks the whole. And you know, I did hear that what you talked about, Ryan, about people saying compared it to Painkiller and how it came out before. I didn't realize that until I started reading comments about it, and I'm like, well, you know, in defense of Painkiller, the reason that Priest made that album was because of what happened with the court, you know, the court and everything with the kids killing themselves. You know, you guys know all about that. So,
Oh yeah.
you know, they came back with a vengeance. You know, that's what Painkiller's whole album was about.
Oh yeah, like I know there's no comparison.
And-
Like just they do sound similar, but I mean I think it's a
Yeah.
good thing because it's
But
more.
that's-
You
Oh,
got
yeah.
songs like Freewheel Burning and Screaming for Vengeance, the song, they're years before this album. So I don't see them influencing Priest for that.
No,
you
there's
know?
no influence. It's like just a happy coincidence, you know. It's just
Yeah, it
more of a
does.
good
No,
thing.
definitely. But yeah, this album.
It sounds like they wanted to be like a full-on Priest. Like they said, let's be like the Priest when Priest is being as fast and heavy as they can, kind of, you know.
But this album is definitely going to be on my replay all the time because, and like you said, Brian, this is definitely a good gym album.
Oh, it's great.
Damn
It's
sure.
great for running and stuff.
That's my number one.
All right. Tony.
Same for sure. Thundersteel. You know, I think this might have been the first Riot album that didn't feature Tior on it somehow or another.
Muscle Seal.
The seal mascot. Of course, he is pictured. If you look in the very corner of the album cover, there's a
Oh, is
picture of
it?
him
I don't
in a
know.
Superman
Yeah, he's tiny.
costume.
He's in there.
And they've renamed him Johnny. He was always Tior, which was Riot spelled backwards.
Well,
but
Johnny is back, right? So
but Johnny's Back was the song here. But man, I have a weird history with Riot because I remember getting into metal and stuff, and me and friends would always just, you know, trade. You get your 90-minute TDK tape and record one album on one side and something on the other, and we're always tape trading back and forth. And someone recorded me Fire Down Under years ago in the '80s, and I thought it was a good record, but it was just more of a almost like blue collar hard rock. And I was all into like Motley Crue and Rat and stuff like that, just the shiny metal. So it just, at the time, it was like, it's cool, but I didn't like delve further into it. And I remember I had also had that live EP with Rhett Forster singing. And I remember hearing my friend had some stuff with Rhett Forster, and I always thought it kind of sounded like Southern rock in a way. And I liked Southern rock, but I just, like I said, I didn't gravitate to it as much. I think the thing that sold me on Rhett Forster was I got the Jack Starr Out of the Darkness record, and he just blew me away. And I was like, I got to go get these Riot records now. But yeah, Thundersteel comes out, and a friend was playing it, and I said, "Yeah, this is pretty cool, man. This doesn't even sound like Fire Down Under." And so I ended up picking it up, and then I liked it, but I was listening to a whole lot of other stuff, a lot of thrash and stuff at that period, and I liked it, but I didn't go back and become like this mega Riot fan. Um, Fast forward 1997, I was writing for a zine, and I was getting Metal Blade was sending me stuff to review, and they sent me the album Inishmore, and I was blown away with it. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. Mark Reale is like such a killer guitar player. And I just started going back and getting everything. By then, all their stuff was pretty available on CD. I picked up everything, and since then they've become one of my favorite bands of all time. I love them. I put the comparison out there that I think they're the American version of Rainbow. You've got Mark Reality. Mark Reality is the Blackmore, and it seems like every time he changed singers, the style of the band would change, just like Rainbow. And he's got the Mike DeMeo era, which is kind of like the Joe Lynn Turner period. But yeah, just they've got such a wide array of sounds. It's all hard rock and metal, but they sound so different. But I love all the eras of the band. And but yeah, this album is just so good. This one, I mean, like after getting back into them again, I just really started getting back into this one. I mean, the opening track is amazing, Thundersteel. Fighter Falls, great. I love Sign of the Crimson Storm. Bloodstreet's just an amazing track. They did a video for that, and it's cool when you go see the band now. It was years before I ever got to see them. I always wanted to see them. I finally got to see them. They played one of the Ragnarok Fest up in Chicago one year, and I went to that, and that was the first time I got to see them. And then they played Defenders of the Old a couple years later, and they had Luca Veras and Rick Ventura from the early days came up and played with them, and just amazing to finally see them live. But when they do Bloodstreet, everybody's singing in the crowd. Everybody's just fist pumping and singing, and it's really cool that they became this. Like, I mean, this is kind of a blueprint to the 90s power metal that was coming out of Europe. So many of the bands I know Hammerfall said they were highly influenced by this album. But if you think back, Riot's first album, Rock City, contains the track Warrior, and that's pretty much one of the very first power metal songs. I mean, what was that, 1977? Right around the same time as Kill the King, with Rainbow. But yeah, just an amazing band. Like I said, I didn't get to see them till years later. Just a quick little story. They did the reunion with the Thundersteel lineup, and they did a new album called Immortal Soul. But a year before that, they got back together and did some shows before Mark got really sick, and they did a tour. And I always used to go up to Jack's in Northern Virginia and see bands. And Jack's had changed ownership. Somebody bought them out, but they were going to have Riot, and they had it advertised. And we're getting ready, me and some buddies getting ready to leave to go. And I get a call from a friend said, "Hey, the club's not open. The club's still closed. The show's canceled. So they didn't get their alcohol license or something. So the whole show's off." So we didn't go. Well, they neglected not tell the band, and the band showed up. And I'm on Facebook that afternoon, and they're doing a live Facebook live video. Here we're at the club, and there's nobody here. Nobody contacted us, but it was Mark and all the guys from the Thundersteel lineup, would have been so cool to go and meet them and stuff. They've just been awesome. But we didn't make the trip. But that would have made it worth it, even if we had driven up and said, "Oh, it's canceled," but hey, the band's here hanging out. That would have been really cool. But yeah, rest in peace, Mark Reilly. Just highly underrated band, and he's such a highly underrated guitar player.
Probably one of the most underrated U.S. heavy bands of all time, I think.
He got better. His playing style, he just got better
Oh,
and better
monster
over the
guitar player.
years.
Monster guitar player.
And then of course, Mike Flint's who plays now. Mike's such an amazing player, and I like what they're doing. They're continuing Mark's legacy with Mark's father's blessing, and I think they do it. They've been doing a lot of stuff with reissuing all these archival tapes they've had over the years, just to help Mark's father with some money and stuff and some deals.
Yeah.
So that's really
I
cool.
would love to go see the current version of the band. I got to see them with Guy Speranza on vocals, open up for Rush way back in the day.
Amazing. Yeah. Wow,
yeah,
that's killer,
so
man.
cool. Nobody even knew who they were. It was such a lucky thing for them to get on that tour. Unfortunately, it didn't really play into more success for the band, which if you ever get a chance, read Martin Popoff's book on Riot. I mean, the story of this band is so sad.
It is.
The band got screwed over left and right. Should have been huge, and just one bad after another.
Bad decisions, bad management mainly.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine that lives here now, grew up in New York, and he was at the My Father's Place show. That's the famous video of Riot. He was at that show, and he gave me a flyer that he got at the show, and Guy and Mark had autographed it at that show, and he gave it to me. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. What could have been, right? Anyway, but still, great band, a lot of great albums. So huge catalog for folks who are interested in diving into the music of Riot. I ranked every single album sometime earlier this year. Go watch.
Yep, you did.
About the catalog. It was a challenge to do, but it was fun. So, all right, Ryan. Speaking of fun, what's your number one?
It was probably obvious if you've listened to me on the show for a while. I know, like you said, we did a ranking show a while back, but this one I'm gonna lay a little bit on my age too. So I graduated high school in the year 2000, and popular metal at the time, if you go back then, was pretty shitty. Was nothing I really liked. I wasn't really into what was big. Was new metal was really big at the time, and there was a lot of bands like Killswitch Engage and like that kind of sound was really big. And I was never really into that stuff. I a lot of my friends were into it, and I ended up seeing some of those bands sometimes just because they played gigs with so and so. And Slayer liked to tour with that kind of shit back in the day. Ugh. But anyways,
totally. Yes,
yeah, Slayer had some really, people bag on Iron Maiden for picking shitty cover bands. No. Knock Kerry King's door down and beat that motherfucker in the head because they toured with shit. But anyway, I don't want to go down that path too much. So, and parallel to that, when a lot of these bands are coming up and doing stuff, I just wasn't really feeling it, but I was really getting into a lot of underground heavy music. And people would show me and talk like, well, you should check this band out. Maybe you'd like this more. And I was like 18, 19, 20, somewhere around there. And somebody showed me the band Manilla Road, which at the time, like 898, 99, 2000, was about as unfashionable as you could fucking possibly get. Like, I don't remember anybody mentioning them. It just was this, it was like I went into a cave and I discovered this treasure chest. And I opened and there's this very weird band in there. Like lo-fi production, weird vocals, but like unique vocals. And I just love them. I fell in love immediately. And they ended up becoming one of my favorite bands. To this day, they raise their eye when I say this, but for me, they're my personal favorite American heavy metal band. I just fucking love them. But I didn't get to see them live for years and years because they just weren't fashionable. Nobody really gave a fuck, and they were kind of on hiatus for a while. And then they came back in the 2000s and started releasing albums, but the albums were, as Pete knows, very lo-fi and were on tiny labels. They never were a big band. I didn't see them live until 2013. I went to Montreal to a small fest called Wings of Metal, and they were one of the headliners. They headlined one day, and the band Satan headlined the other day, and it was magical to see them. Since then, up until Mark passed away, I was good to see them. I want to say I saw them 14 times. I was very lucky. Like Cirith Ungol, if they played, I would just travel around to see them. I didn't miss a chance. So this album is one of excuse my voice here. One of my favorite Manila Road albums by far. This Crystallogic and Mystification. Uh, Tony mentioned Out of the Abyss. I liked it. They definitely were going more of a thrash direction. I'm pretty forgiving for it, but it's not one of my favorites. The previous album, Mystification, is also very thrashy, but I think they pull it off a lot more. It's just a better album, I think. But this album is just, to me, classic Manila Road. The song that I don't think anybody mentioned it is one of the most inspirational metal songs ever. If you read the lyrics, you're driving in the car, you got the window down, is Road of Kings. That's, to me, it's up there with like the most inspirational lyrics that Dio or Manowar ever wrote. You're like, fist in the sky, just fucking awesome. But yeah, every song on this album to me is killer. I like the lo-fi production. I love his vocals. The lyrics to this band are really good. If you like fantasy literature and you like that stuff like Michael Moorcock and that kind of stuff, Robert E. Howard, Mark wrote really, really good, intelligent, articulate, thoughtful lyrics. Like it's like reading a fantasy novel. It's just really, really good stuff. I know a million bands write about that kind of subject matter, so it's not unique. But you read this guy's lyrics, you're like, this guy, he could have been an author. Like he was a really good fucking lyricist. Yeah, I just love him. And I could tell you, I saw these guys play a lot. Like I said, I saw them play in tiny clubs to a few people. They played their asses off. They played like Van Halen in front of a million people. Absolutely burned the doors down. Total energy, total intensity. They didn't care if it was 1,000 people or 10. They played with total mania. It was great to see that. Unfortunately, Mark passed away a couple years ago, so that ended the band. It'd be like, Megadeth without Dave or something. It's not going to happen. So the band immediately dissolved. There's a new band now with the rest of the guys. They got back together called Century, which is pretty good. They played at the last Hell's Heroes, and they actually played a Manila Road cover song, so it was cool. But it's obviously not the same band anymore. But yeah, I don't know. I talk about this band a lot. Like Nick said, I've been freaking burning his ears up with years and years talking about him. No, you gotta listen to him. Yeah, I just love the shit out of them. They are a love or hate band. So when people say, the vocals, I get it. It's fine.
As soon as I saw it on the list, I thought of you.
Yeah. Oh, I talked to, I have like a million
I know you
shirts,
love the band,
patches.
yeah.
Yeah, they're easily one of my top 10 favorite bands of all time. I just love the fucking shit out of them. As soon as Pete sent out the list, I'm like, oh yeah, Manila Road #1, easy. Everything else, and yeah, the cover's great too. Cover's one of the just an iconic '80s heavy metal fucking cover. You see that, you're like, I want to draw that on a high school notebook. Yeah, it's fucking great. And I just love the little, that guy's cool. I know a couple people that have tattoos of that little guy on their arms. So yeah, love the shit out of it. That's my #1.
Yeah, that's like one of a run of very, very strong albums for them. There's like a
Yes.
5-year period where they just kind of were doing no wrong, but unfortunately, not many people were listening. That's to be
They were on like a fuck
metal
off
band.
label that, you can't blame someone for not hearing them because I forget what label they were on in the '80s, but it got no distribution. And I don't know if you weren't in Kansas or you didn't happen to get lucky with like a magazine or an advertisement, yeah, they could easily slip by you. I could easily see that.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing them in the stores at all. I think maybe Keeler might have had one or two of their albums in the early days of Rock Fantasy, but it's not something I ever remembered seeing. So it wasn't until
I
years
think
later.
that Out of the Abyss was on, if I remember, it was on Chastain's label, Leviathan.
Yes. And the artwork is cool, so I think if you saw it, you'd be like, "That's kind of a cool artwork. What is this?" But yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with you guys, other people. They're like, "I don't remember those albums being for sale back then." So, you know, shitty distribution. It happens.
Yep. Yep.
What's the deal with the name Manila Road? I never bothered to look that up.
Uh, you know what?
Maybe
I'll
based
look it
on
up 'cause
something.
I remember reading about it. It doesn't have any deep meaning. I think it's kind of like they got stoned one night and they just said it sounds cool. I don't think it's any deeper than that, but I'm gonna look it up now that we're talking about it.
I don't know. It's a good question.
I got it.
Yeah.
The name Manila Road was created by Shelton and Monkers while watching Monty Python's Flying Circus and drinking beer. The extra
sounds about
I
right.
added to avoid confusion with the Manila Boys Choir and to make it easier to trademark.
There you go. Yeah,
Okay.
there's nothing deep behind it.
And that came
I just
straight.
I hated the name. I
from
think the name is one of those names that I would avoid it just because the name sounded weird. Like there's so many bands like that. I just didn't go after check them out or nothing because I didn't like the name of them.
Used to get them confused back in the day. Remember Malaya Rage, another band?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yep, yep.
Yep.
All right, Ralph, what's your number one?
All right, so 1984, like I'm getting sick of any of like the Motley Crues and stuff like that. My favorite bands are like Priest and Maiden, Sabbath, Ozzy, Dio, you know. But now I'm just starting to look more underground, and I'm finding bands like Anvil and Omen, Sabotage and Jag Panzer and Grim Reaper. But it's all in this like 1 year time. When I look back at it, it seemed like back then at the time just seemed longer, but I was really only doing that for like a short period of time where I was finding bands like that. And I was like, oh, this is cool, like underground, but it's like in the Maiden vein and stuff. It was right before I got into like Metallica and Slayer and stuff. But this is a band that I found way back then. Still have my vinyl from back then, 1984. And this is like real traditional metal, at times power metal, but they're one of those bands. Like I recently, me and Tony were on Almost Human Live, and we got to interview James Rivera, and I actually listened to their entire discography recently, and they do not have a single bad album in the discography. They're one of the most consistent underground bands that just never had any kind of big chance or whatever. But and they also one of those bands that just get heavier and heavier, especially leading up to the newest album. He's doing like those great traditional metal kind of vocals, but then he's also got like death metal growls going on here and there. Not like overdoing it or nothing, but it's definitely pushing it. He's like a big fan like of current black metal bands and even some death metal and stuff. So I like every song on this album. I love this album. Like it just puts me back into that 1 year where I was finally starting to find underground metal that wasn't like in all the magazines and stuff. But then once thrash hit, everything kind of gets ruined for me for many, many years. I get into the extreme stuff, and I don't look back until around the year 2000, where I had a good friend that he kept collecting all this stuff. So he just started burning me all these bands. And that's even when I found like Thin Lizzy and stuff, like all the stuff that I didn't listen to as a kid. I went backwards at around 2000. By then, like the death metal and black metal scenes were like so flooded and stuff. I was still keeping up with all my favorite bands of them, but I wasn't like out there looking for every new band at that point. I was more into going backwards and trying to find the stuff I missed. But going back to Helstar, they one of those bands that I love everything they've done, and yeah, that's my number one.
Yeah, very consistent band for sure. They don't have a bad album, and yeah, their latest one is great. And
Yeah.
before we started taping, Ralph, I was telling Rob about the King of Hell album, which I think just absolutely crushes. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
So good, so good. Cool. All
yeah.
right, we got a spirited battle here today. Nick, which what direction you going here?
Well, the number one left here is Sanctuary.
Yep.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and it's funny because I remember seeing the cover years and years ago in the 90s. I remember even listening to it a little bit, but similar to Ralph, I departed into heavier pastures once Maiden and Halloween and everybody shit the bed. Um, I kind of went off on my own, and I probably didn't give a band like Sanctuary the attention it deserved. I did see Nevermore once. I did get to see Worrell perform once. And he was a force of fucking nature. It was great. But I never was huge into Nevermore. So I dove back into this Refuge Denied, and it's oh man. I mean, it is right up my alley. Yeah, I don't know how anybody could talk about the production in a negative way. Um, this take a song like Termination Force, which comes out and then it gets a little soft, and then it just in the middle of it just starts to fucking go, and then it goes in, Die for My Sins. Like I'm really loving this, and again, I wasn't like traditionally listening to it, so I'm newer to this, and I got to tell you that Refuge Denied, out of this clutch of albums, really fits my personal tastes. Yeah, Worrell sounds fucking unreal. There isn't a bad moment on the album at all. There isn't even a weak moment on the album. The whole thing is unbelievable. Third War. The cover is very good. I love White Rabbit. I love that song. I love the original. And yeah, they do a very good job with it. I'm gonna sound like a big fucking metal poser right now, but I just while we're on it, one of the coolest covers of White Rabbit I've ever heard in my life is from the former pop female starlet, Pink. I shit you not. I
Lizzie
don't know how
Borden
I
did a
came
good
across
version.
it.
You heard it here, folks.
Somebody said I don't care.
It's
I'll fight
recorded
anybody.
for
Let's
all the
go.
world to hear.
I don't like the rest of her music, whatever. Look at her, look it up. She performed, it was an outdoor show somewhere. She did an unbelievable cover of White Rabbit. But anyway, yeah, I'll go with Sanctuary as my unexpected number one.
Ed Ripka did that album art too for that
Yeah,
cover.
it's
Yeah, that's
great. It's
another,
one of
that's a
his
classic. And that's
Yeah.
full
such
of
a good,
covers.
that's such an awesome what do you call it? Logo too. It's just
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Very good stuff.
All right, my number one. It's funny. I did this whole month-long theme last month about my favorite album blind buys of all time, where I just saw an album in the store and just had to have it because the cover was so cool. I don't know why I didn't pick King of the Dead, because this is one of the coolest album covers of all time. And I remember seeing this sitting in Rock and Roll Heaven North and saying I have to buy this because I was into fantasy books and I love all this kind of shit. And I loved, Frazetta and and this dude. And so I was like, so I bought this and then I was like, whoa, this is different. But I really like this album a lot. I really like this band a lot. And yeah, I mean, there's just some amazing songs on here. And what's really cool about this band is you got like all these really great players on here. I mean, I love like Jerry Fogel's guitar playing. He's an amazing riff guy, great solos. I love the bass player Flint, Jerry Flint, whatever the hell is, I can never remember his last name. He plays a Rickenbacker, played a Rickenbacker, and he played it kind of like Chris Squire. You can always hear all these cool lead bass lines going on the song, and Robert Garvin's drumming is so good. And Tim Baker's vocals are so just gravelly and unique and just kind of menacing, and he had this really cool look to him and everything like that. Great songs on here. It's still my favorite album by the band. I think Adam Smasher is terrific. Black Machine is just amazing. I don't know, Master of the Pit. I often struggle with what my favorite song is on here. Master of the Pit is great. Finger of Scorn is so doomy and so cool. There's great jams on here and there's big heavy riffs on here. It's doom, it's prog, it's traditional metal, it's whatever. It's just great. So it's my number one. No bad song on it. And yeah, that's it. So we have a winner though.
Yep.
This is where you know the point system really works wonders here, because we have one album that got two first place votes, and also two second place votes. And that's the reason why it wins with a total of 23 points. That winner is
Right.
Riot. That's correct. Thundersteel is our winner today. It beats out. We have a two-way tie for second place, Cirith Ungol and Sanctuary with 15 points, Manilla Road with 12, and Helstar with 8. So, but like I said, there's no loser here because all five of these albums are really, really good. And I think this was a really, really cool album battle here. And I think we got to just, what's really interesting is, like, I think from the panel, we have, some folks might have been familiar with all the albums, but some might not have been familiar with some of the others. But I think everybody really enjoyed listening to these. And so even if you're hearing some of these for the first time in recent weeks, it's still, you're getting exposed to some really, really cool albums from yesteryear that I think really hold up well all these years later. So yeah, so no losers, but Riot is our actual winner tonight. So for everybody watching, please rank these as you like them down in the comments below. And if you've never heard any of these before, you're in for a treat, because these are 5 kick-ass albums that I think you'll really enjoy. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time here on the Hudson Valley Squares. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.
All the damn
All
time.
the damn time. That's right. We'll see you next time for another topic. We actually have a pretty fun topic I'm going to talk to the guys about as soon as we get done here. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. For Rob Lasante, Tony Dio, Nick Franco, Ryan Scow, and Count Ralphus, I am P. Pardo. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.